The greatest lie in comic book history is the idea that the adamantium skeleton made Wolverine a better weapon. Most fans believe the indestructible metal turned a mutant brawler into a superhero, but the biology tells a completely different story. In 1993, Marvel stripped away the metal and revealed a terrifying truth that changed the character forever. The adamantium wasn't an upgrade, it was a cage that was slowly killing him. Once that cage broke, we didn't get a weaker Wolverine, we got a creature that was faster, healed instantly, and possessed a mutation so volatile it threatened to erase the man completely. For nearly 20 years, readers assumed the claws were part of the gloves, or bionic implants added by Weapon X. That changed on a single page in X-Men number 25. During the Fatal Attraction storyline, Magneto didn't just defeat Logan, he violated him on a molecular level. The master of magnetism ripped the adamantium directly out of Wolverine's pores in a scene that remains one of the most gruesome in Marvel history. This went beyond shock value to hit the reset button on the character. When the X-Men rushed to save them, they expected to find a man with no claws left. Instead, Logan popped his fists, and for the first time, we saw jagged, calcified bone. This revelation rewrote his entire origin. He wasn't a human made into a weapon. He was a beast who had been leashed. The biggest advantage of the bone claws isn't the claws themselves, it is the absence of the metal. Adamantium is toxic. For decades, Wolverine's healing factor has been working overtime, not to fix bullet holes, but to keep his own skeleton from killing him. It is a constant biological war fought inside his cells, every second of every day. With the metal gone, that processing power was suddenly freed up. Xavier confirmed this in the aftermath of Magneto's attack. Without the constant need to fight off heavy metal poisoning, Logan's healing factor didn't just return to normal, it hyper-evolved. He went from healing in hours to healing in seconds. The metal was effectively a damper, suppressing his true potential. Without it, he became nearly unkillable in a way the metal version never was. Weight matters. An adamantium skeleton adds approximately 105 pounds to Logan's frame. Although his muscles are enhanced to carry it, the laws of physics still apply. When Magneto stripped that weight away, Logan didn't just get lighter, he became a blur. During the Bone Claw era, artists and writers depicted him moving with a fluidity that was impossible before. He could jump higher, run faster, and change direction with a velocity that terrified his enemies. He was no longer a tank that could soak up damage. He was a ninja who didn't need to. This speed upgrade changed how he fought. He stopped relying on his durability and started relying on his instincts. The tank was gone, replaced by a missile. We actually pulled this topic from a debate in the comments on our last X-Men video, so a huge thank you to everyone who weighs in. If you have an idea for a future what-if scenario or character deep dive, drop it below, because we read them all. If you are enjoying this breakdown, please like and subscribe, as it really helps us keep these videos coming. Indestructible weapons have a major flaw. They cannot be replaced. If adamantium claws are damaged, and beings like Gladiator or molecular manipulators can damage them, they stay damaged forever. Bone claws are different because they are organic and grow back. We saw this brutally demonstrated when the villain Cyber broke Wolverine's bone claws in a fight. It was horrific, snapping them like dry twigs. But weeks later, they returned. This regenerative property means Logan can never be truly disarmed. You can break his bones or shatter his hands, but the weapon will always return. It gives him a renewable resource that the metal version lacks. The adamantium claws are a finite tool, while the bone claws are a living part of his biology. The scariest realization Xavier had wasn't about the poison, but about the evolution. The adamantium had effectively frozen Logan's mutation in place, like a chemical time stop. Once the metal was removed, his body didn't just heal, it began to change. The mutation that gave him his powers wasn't finished. We saw him regress into a feral state, losing his nose, his speech, and his humanity. While this noseless Wolverine era is controversial among fans, it proved that Logan is a species in transition. The metal was the only thing keeping him looking human. Without it, the beast takes over completely. This suggests that the Wolverine we know is actually a stunted, artificial version of what nature intended him to be. Surgical steel cuts clean. Adamantium is the sharpest edge in the universe, which means it slices through tissue so perfectly that the wounds can actually close up faster. Bone is messy. When Logan pops the bone claws, they aren't razor-thin blades. They are calcified spikes. They tear flesh rather than slice it. The wounds they leave are jagged, traumatic, and bleed profusely. From a psychological standpoint, this is far more terrifying. Being hit by adamantium is like being hit by a scalpel, while being hit by bone is like being mauled by a bear. The visceral horror of the bone claws adds a level of intimidation that the clean, metallic, snicked simply cannot match. The universe tried to put the metal back. In Wolverine number 100, the villain Genesis captured Logan and attempted to bond adamantium to his skeleton once again. It should have worked, since it had worked before. But this time, Logan's body violently rejected it. His healing factor pushed the metal out like shrapnel. This was the definitive proof that the Bone Claw version was the superior biological organism. His body recognized the metal not as an upgrade, but as a virus. He expelled it and devolved further into his feral state. It showed that the symbiotic relationship he had with the metal in the past was forced rather than natural. His cells didn't want to be a weapon, they wanted to be wild. When you are indestructible, you get lazy. Metal Skeleton Wolverine often fights with zero regard for defense because he knows he can take the hit. He blocks with his face. Bone Claw Wolverine didn't have that luxury. If he got hit, his bones could break. If he got shot, it hurt. This forced Logan to remember that he wasn't just a tank, he was a master martial artist. During this era, we saw him using technique, stealth, and strategy in ways he hadn't for years. He trained with Elektra and relearned discipline. The loss of his invulnerability made him a far more dangerous fighter because he had to earn every win. He couldn't just outlast his opponents, he had to outthink them. A common misconception is that his bone claws are brittle. They aren't regular human calcium. They are mutated, hyperdense bone that can slice through steel doors and rock. While they can't cut Colossus or the Hulk, they are strong enough for 99% of the threats Logan faces. In fact, their slightly lower density compared to adamantium allows for flexibility. We have seen them bend under extreme pressure rather than snapping, allowing Logan to disengage from traps that would have pinned his metal claws. They are nature's perfect weapons, evolved specifically for his body, unlike the rigid, foreign metal that forces his hands into fixed positions. They are part of him, adaptable and resilient. The metal skeleton has always given Logan a glaring weakness, Magneto. But it goes beyond just one villain. A metal skeleton makes him a walking lightning rod. Electrical attacks are devastating to Metal Wolverine because his entire nervous system is wrapped in a conductor. Bone Claw Wolverine doesn't have this problem. He is invisible to metal detectors, immune to magnetic manipulation, and far more resistant to electrical attacks. We have seen him take down Sentinels and magnetic-based enemies, specifically because they calibrated their sensors for adamantium and couldn't track the Man of Bone. Losing the metal removed his biggest tactical blind spot. The ultimate proof that the metal is a curse came in the 2014 storyline Death of Wolverine. When Logan finally died, it wasn't a bullet or a bomb that killed him. It was the adamantium. He was encased in molten metal, which hardened and suffocated him. The very thing that was supposed to make him indestructible became his tomb. It was a poetic, tragic ending that reinforced the lesson from the 90s. The metal was never his friend. It was a parasite that eventually consumed its host. If he had remained the Bone Claw Wolverine, he likely would have survived that encounter, Or at least, he wouldn't have been turned into a statue of his own hubris. As we look at the character today in 2026, with the massive hype surrounding the new Insomniac Wolverine game launching this fall, we are seeing a return to the classic tank archetype. The trailers show him soaking up bullets and shrugging off damage with that familiar metallic ring. But looking back at the Bone Claw era offers a different kind of thrill. It offered a version of Logan who was vulnerable, desperate, and incredibly fast. It raised the stakes. When Bone Claw Wolverine fought, you knew he could actually be hurt, which made every victory matter more. The video game will undoubtedly make us feel powerful, but the comics showed us that true power comes from survival rather than invincibility. We can't discuss the Bone Claws without mentioning the lupine distinction. During the Bone era, writers introduced the idea that Logan wasn't just a mutant. He was part of a separate evolutionary branch called lupine, dating back to ancient times. While much of this was later retconned or complicated by the villain Romulus, the core concept remains fascinating. The Bone Claws weren't a random mutation, they were an ancestral trait. This tied Logan to a primal history that the Weapon X program tried to erase. The metal was an attempt to modernize a creature that was never meant to be modern. It was technology trying to pave over nature. When you stack up the stats, the winner is clear. Adamantium gives durability and cutting power, but costs speed, health, and evolution. Bone Claws offer regeneration, speed, stealth, and a hyperactive healing factor. The metal version is a weapon made by men, while the bone version is a predator made by nature. Weapon X didn't create Wolverine, they contained him. And as we saw in the 90s, the moment that containment broke was the moment we met the real Logan. He was uglier, faster, and far more lethal. The metal looks cool on a poster, but the bone is where the real power lives. Wolverine is often defined by what was done to him, the experiments, the memory wipes, and the liquid metal injected into his bones. But the Bone Claw era proved that his true power was never something given to him in a lab. It was something he was born with. The metal made him a superhero, but the bone made him a survivor. As we gear up for the next chapter of his story in 2026, it is worth remembering that the most dangerous thing about Wolverine isn't the adamantium. It is the animal underneath it. Thanks for watching, and make sure to hit that subscribe button to catch our next deep dive into comic history.